The shutting down of ENAM, changing the nation into a 10 federal state, as well as the provision of free medical and education to every Cameroonian, is what SDF party flag bearer to the October 7 presidential polls, Joshua Nabangi Osi, is promising Cameroonians if voted into office. Plus, less than 2 weeks to the start of the 2018-2019 school year in Cameroon, getting the prescribed textbooks by the government at bookshops in Douala and the entire nation is still a big challenge to parents. Those are my list stories, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and thanks for joining me. I am Henry Wana at the Anchor in Douala. Joshua Nabangi Osi says if voted into office as Cameroon's president, he shall shut down ENAM, change the nation into a 10 federal state, as well as provide free health and education for every Cameroonian. He was speaking in Douala this Wednesday, August 22, while presenting his vision for this great nation to the press. Peter Sose reports.
In radical fashion, Joshua Osi, candidate for the 2018 presidential election, says he will shut down ENAM, delocalize the chieftain of the central region, and effect far-reaching changes in the cabinet, the electoral system, and living together should he be elected as the country's leader in October's poll.
The first point is that of the form of the state, which will be federal, and our preference goes for a 10-state federation. We will immediately close the school called ENAM. We will put in place a 2-round presidential election with a single ballot and a mandate of 5 years. We will put in place a national conference for reconciliation, truth, and reparation, as well as a program to disarm and demobilize and reinsert Cameroonians who are in need. We will delocalize the capital of the central region into another locality of the central region.
Before pressmen in Douala Wednesday, the SDF aspirant reveals that Cameroon's economy will witness an upsurge growth.
The creation of a minimum salary that will be brought to 160,000 francs within 5 years. We will as well double the salaries of civil servants within 5 years to try to bring them back to the point at which they were in 1994, if my memory is right. I will introduce a land reform that will make it such that each Cameroonian family will have a land title at the end of that reform.
His 24-point agenda, hinged on 6 axes, also features key measures to lighten the social burden faced by Cameroonians today.
Introduce a universal health insurance that will cover Cameroonian families up to the tune of 500,000 francs against a fee of 1,000 francs per month and per person. We'll introduce school scholarships again for those children coming from families that have the biggest economic difficulties. We will introduce a effective free, but mandatory education in the public schools in Cameroon up to the first cycle of secondary schooling.
Joshua Osi has revealed that the October 7 presidential elections will be a referendum for a generation, the form of the state, and peace in a troubled context.
One of the key issues that was raised today in the press conference organized by SDF flag bearer into the October 7 presidential election was on federalism. Now let's have an extract of what his own point of view is on the subject matter.
To know how much a federal arrangement costs. I cannot give you an exact figure of the cost of a federal arrangement, but I can tell you one thing with certainty, that it costs far less than the arrangement we have today. And the estimations out there by specialists in governance tell you that the savings go from anything between 20 to 40% from what we spend today. So you have to understand that the closer governance comes to the users and the people, the less it costs because it increases in efficiency. A mayor knows exactly what type of staff he needs in his municipality and what they need to do for him to be elected when the next election comes up and for him to have a successful mandate. I propose a federal form of the state. I do not take into account any financial consideration because the fact of Cameroon being together and being governed in the right way has no price. Okay? So you will see no place in my program any savings coming from that. You will see no place in my program any cost for it because simply there are things that are priceless, and the form of the state is one of those things that I consider as being priceless.
Civil society activists have applauded the presidential program of SDF flag bearer Joshua Nabangi Osi in making Cameroon a nation to be envied by many. Our reporter Peter Sose sought the view of civil society activists shortly after that press conference and put together this report for us.
The campaign manifesto of SDF presidential aspirant Joshua Osi looks enticing for some civil society actors. John Ako is a university lecturer and believes that Osi's federalism vision is key to a promising country.
Federal system of governance, the resources are created by the region and just a percentage goes to the national government. So what we are seeing is that if opportunity is given, federalism is less expensive than the centralized system of government which we live today. If you imagine what we have to do with a centralized system with about 58 or 54 ministries, you realize that it will cost us a lot of money to have Cameroon littering under what I call bureaucratic leaders rather than liberals, those who are closer to the people.
An economic model based on increasing the purchasing power of Cameroonians has also charmed the civil society.
He said, with the acquisition of the land certificate, that meaning you can stay in your home and have your land certificate issued to you. This is what Cameroonians are. We have lands, we have family houses, but no Cameroonian has a title to it. And within it, you realize that many Cameroonians always live under the context of having a paper, which is a land certificate, whose rules and propaganda has made it so difficult for them to obtain.
Campaign manifesto, however, raises some questions amongst the civil society on issues such as the financing of the federal structure, quitting the CFA franc, increasing the minimum package, and ending the socio-political crisis. These are key areas the presidential candidate has been called to clearly indicate how he intends to tackle them.
Over to something else, a workshop to school Cameroonian environmental experts on how to set up a sheet flow diagram for a city is underway in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The workshop, which opened today, is grouping environmental experts from the 10 regions of the country. Dr. Simon Kenfak is the director of the program, who now tells us in detail the content of this workshop.
We are now about to set up the figure of sanitation access in Yaoundé. So within 1 month, we will be able to present to Yaoundé population what is the real figure of fecal sludge management here in Yaoundé. But during this workshop is just to prepare Cameroonian experts, how to set up a sheet flow diagram for a city, and starting from that of Yaoundé and Douala. The final outcome of all what we are doing is the population, well-being of the population. Because when we talk of fecal sludge management, it's a whole chain, starting from the toilet at household level to the transportation, from emptying the pit with trucks until the treatment plant. And what we are now already, we have already secured some funds to donors to build in Yaoundé the first ever being wastewater and fecal sludge treatment plant. Up to now, there is no treatment plant in Yaoundé. But now, before we start operating this plant, we have to evaluate the quantity of sludge that will be discharged at that plant.
Dr. Simon Kenfak talking there to Spectrum Television at the end of the opening of that workshop in Yaoundé. On our back-to-school page tonight, September 3 is at the corner, but getting prescribed textbooks remains a big challenge. In several bookshops here in Douala, vendors and parents say they have no choice but to wait. Veronica Adje reports.
Nous devenons citoyens. CE1, CE2. Livre unique en TIC. CE1 et CE2. Standard English. Practical English. Livre unique.
The 2018-2019 academic year is at the corner, and the hustle and bustle that goes along with. In some bookshops here in Douala, vendors and parents talk of an availability of all prescribed textbooks.
Yeah, the readers are available, but not all the readers. So parents are coming to buy the few ones that are available. Now, there are some certain few ones like English, mathematics that are not yet available on the market. So the ones that are there, the parents are coming and buying it. Mostly it's primary. Secondary is already available.
The situation is quite unpleasant, but parents continue rushing.
Je suis venue acheter les livres de Form 1 pour ma fille qui va à Form 1.
This mother has tried getting some Form 1 textbooks for her daughter on 2 attempts, but not all are available.
Pas la première fois que je viens, c'est la deuxième fois. La première fois, il n'y avait encore aucun manuel.
She, however, plans coming back in September. Prices, according to book traders, have dropped.
Oui, les prix des livres ont considérablement baissé.
They vary from 1,200 to 7,500 CFA francs, contrary to previous years when to get a textbook, one had to begin from 3,000.
Donc aujourd'hui, bon, je peux dire que les livres varient entre.
This school year comes along with the implementation of the one textbook policy instituted by Prime Minister Philemon Yang last November 2017, stating one textbook will be used for 6 years, unlike 2 as it was before.
Still in education, denizens in Bamenda are skeptical of an effective 2018-2019 school year in Cameroon, few weeks to the start of the new academic year. Our reporter, Gad Joyce, sought their views and put together this report for us.
In the pursuit of the government to see a hitch-free school resumptions come September to enable an effective 2018-2019 academic year, the instability in the Anglophone regions has left the Northwest region with so much yet to be done. This is what the parents think could be done to enable their children get to school in September.
We're saying that government to solve the problem of education, but now we don't know whether it's the problem of education or not. So I don't understand. So I cannot really say exactly what. If government does, will be all right to the order.
Schools takeoff have to be, the ground has to be very level, so that parents should be very free and see into it that people can go to school. There's no problem with the school. It's the situation, the political situation is rough. Nobody can take his China and expose to the military which has occupied the whole area.
I'll beg the government to bring those who are in the prison out and those who are in the bushes, out of the bushes, so that they can join those who are out there to go to school. Because if they allow only these children that are out here to go to school, it would be as if they are cheating those who are in the prison and in the bushes.
If they want us to send our children to school, let them resolve the problem of the teachers and the lawyers as they started it, because there was the foundation of the thing. Now, it was last year I sent my children to school, and in some days ahead, the children were sent back to the house.
The only thing for my own support is just to dialogue for the prices that we are there now.
Even those selling school materials are also caught up in the struggle.
Parents are not bad. You can come a day and go back without even selling 1,000 francs for exercise book or even textbook. You can have textbooks and exercise books all.
From the information gathered, some parents are not yet certain if their children will go back to school in September.
In Bamenda, the recent HIV and AIDS survey in the Northwest region shows that the prevalence rate of the pandemic has witnessed a drop, but the youth, especially girls, are still the most vulnerable. During a ceremony to officially launch the AIDS-free holiday campaign, Governor Adolphe Lafrique praised the virtues of going to school and the risk of being an HIV and AIDS carrier. Lovett Bear reports from Bamenda.
To achieve Vision 2020, where 90% of HIV-infected persons know their status, 90% equally placed on treatment, 50 peer educators in the Northwest region have been trained to sensitize the population about HIV/AIDS, encourage them to go for their testing, and also to change the mindsets of people towards those living with HIV/AIDS. The ceremony to officially launch the 16th edition of HIV-free holiday campaign was presided at by the Governor of the Northwest Region, Adolphe Lafrique, with the youth and girls especially considered to be the most vulnerable being the main target. According to the Governor, the socio-political instability in the region that is already having a negative effect on education is most likely to increase the AIDS prevalence rates amongst youths.
Even if some progress has been achieved so far, we still need to both raise the efforts. And in this particular environment of the social crisis in the Northwest region, we have to increase our efforts to prevent those that are out of school to be infected.
Nonetheless, the AIDS prevalence rate compared to past years has witnessed a drop.
Most recent survey, CAMFIA, that we carried out in 2017, we just had the results, and the result is showing that we have a drop in our prevalence from 6.3% to 5.1% in the age group 15 to 64 years. But what is disheartening is that in the females, in the age group 15 to 24 years, we have actually noticed from the CAMFIA studies an increase in the new cases. And it's been observed that the females in this age group, they're having new infections that are 9 times more than in males in the same group.
The peer educators who have been called to use their Android phones to pass on constructive information to their peers about HIV/AIDS say they are ready for the task.
I'm going to go out to the community to sensitize in public, in schools, in churches. And our main target is the youths.
The 2017 edition of AIDS-free holiday campaign has as theme Android generation, click on HIV testing.
During the rainy season, it is very common to see umbrellas sold in almost every corner. Denizens, apart from rain boots, plastic shoes and raincoats rush to get umbrellas so as to battle the rainy season. Veronica Aji reports.
The rains are finally here. Do not go out uncovered. Either use a raincoat or an umbrella. As for some Douala city dwellers, the umbrella is the best option. While some go for pocket-sized umbrellas because it is easy to carry along, others do not have any preference.
J'ai vérifié à travers, n'est-ce pas, les bas qui sont montés.
Be it big or small, if it can resist the wind, then it is useful.
Et puis c'est ça qui me permet de déterminer mon choix.
These rain kits that are being sold specifically in the rainy season have different prices.
Les vendeurs qui ne sont pas experts dans la matière prennent le parapluie le plus cher pour donner aux clients.
Vendors say the prices depend on the size of an umbrella and of course the client's outfit.
C'est quand on se rend compte qu'il a un peu d'argent pour acheter un bon parapluie qu'on le pousse après maintenant le bon. Sinon on ne l'accueille pas directement avec un bon parapluie.
The business may be spontaneous, but it is however a competitive one.
Les problèmes que nous avons dans notre secteur dit informel.
Those who buy in bulk from Chinese businessmen say these foreign traders retail to other people at the same price.
Au même prix, ils vendent aux clients en pièces au même prix. Et là, nous, maintenant, sur place, nous souffrons.
Causing a drop in output. These umbrellas are very often sold in trucks because mobility is a plus in the trade.
With the VOA.
In his speech Monday, Trump said security services are doing an unbelievable job in preventing cross-border crime and have not been appreciated enough.
Over the last year, these are incredible numbers, ICE and CBC seized more than 2.8 million pounds of illicit and deadly narcotics. A lot of people would have died. In the interior of our country, ICE officers arrested over 127,000 criminal aliens. And these are tough ones too, aren't they, fellas, right? These were tough ones, including those charged or convicted of 48,000 assaults, 12,000 sex crimes, and 1,800 homicides.
Trump's praise comes 2 days after ICE officers arrested a Mexican man in San Bernardino, California, while he was driving his pregnant wife to a hospital to deliver their baby.
When I asked why you were taking him, they said somebody had reported us.
ICE officials say the man is suspected of murder in Mexico and could pose a threat to the U.S. national security. Trump's administration has been criticized for its zero-tolerance policy on illegal immigration, especially the practice of separating migrant children from their families. There have been calls for dismantling ICE or at least changing its mission.
I think we need to absolutely reset their mission. And we have political leadership that has given ICE this mission that is destructive to families, to economies, and to even the safety on our streets.
Hundreds of immigrant children remain in U.S. custody despite a federal court order that they must be reunited with their parents. Trump did not address the issue but said the so-called sanctuary cities will not be permitted to continue sheltering illegal immigrants. He also spoke of his plans for building a wall along the southern U.S. border.
To protect our nation from smuggling, trafficking, drugs, crime, the men and women of DHS are building the border wall as we sit, and the wall is getting longer and taller and stronger each and every day. We've spent and will soon be spending about $3.2 billion, and we're looking for about $5 billion for this next coming year.
Trump said his administration's effort is being blocked by Democrats in Congress, a sign that the Monday event was an effort to help Republicans win congressional seats in the upcoming midterm election. Zlarica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Let's now talk sport in brief before we take leave of you. The draws of the quarter-final stage of the 2018 Challenge Cup of Cameroon conducted today carries mouth-watering fixture. Kotospor of Garwa is to face Edinspor Football Club, two heavyweight clubs in the contest. Unisport of Bafang shall wrestle with Renaissance of Ngumu for the semi-final ticket, and Pate Sportif of Ndi will equally toss the coin with Union Sportif of Douala. The 4 games will be played this weekend in stadia across the national territory. And that's all we had time for today in this newscast. We thank you all for watching. See you tomorrow. Good night.